Monessen City Council meeting on September 15th at 7 p.m. to order. Roll call, please.
Councilman Grigger?
Here.
Councilman Orchowski?
Here.
Councilman Thomas?
Here.
Councilman Coles?
Here.
Mayor Sherrod?
Here. Please rise for the pledge of the flag. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So I don't see, or, sorry, skipping ahead. Could everyone take a look at the minutes for a minute? I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes from the August 11th, 2020 meeting. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Are there any corrections that need made? Call the roll.
Councilman Orchowski?
Yes.
Councilman Coles?
Yes.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Yes.
Councilman Grigger?
Aye.
Mayor Sherrod?
Yes. I don't see Mr. Marinkovich here, so we will move on. Is Mr. Bursick here?
He's not here, but I can tell you
Okay.
some of these. Brian Bursick called me today. He runs the Cave Boxing Club in Charleroi. And what he wanted to do is to put on an event at Main Street Park in early November. And it's just a sparring match between individuals. And he works with the UFL, the Underground Fight League. And what they promote are drugs up and guns down, and use their energy in the ring. And during the event, he put up a ring in the park, and he would like to have some vendors there so they could sell, they'd make some money, and the money would be turned back into the groups. For instance, a Major League Football or baseball or something like that. The money would be returned to that. Last year they had an event in Bell Vernon, and they raised over $5,000, which went back into some of the groups that they have programs in Bell Vernon. So basically he was hunting for approval now so he could set it up in the next month or two to advertise and get people to come. So that's basically what he was looking at.
How would that go along with like the COVID?
Pardon me?
How would that go along with the COVID situation? I assume he had something.
Well, boxing's pretty close.
Yeah. That's why.
So those individuals, I guess what they have to do is, basically what we've talked about before, check on the people before they go into the ring. Also, they'll have, we could have the gate there, and as the people come in, check them. And also with the fighters, get the hold harmless for anybody that gets hurt. So
yeah, just a quick comment on that. So one of the things that I think will be helpful for the city is we have that template event agreement for anybody that would be looking to rent a park for an event. And then we also have those standard waivers and releases, which then protect the city as well, that we would want any participants to sign. So I think that council would want to, have those documents being obtained as a condition of any use of any park going forward.
Yeah, that makes sense. Is there anything else from him on that?
Yeah, I mean, I could do that. We'll take care of that with the waivers. Just wanted to mention at this time that the Rosary Society canceled their program for November.
Or October.
For October, but they canceled the program, so we didn't have to get any more paperwork. I sent a lot of paperwork out. But if they approve this, then I'll take care of all the paperwork about and let them set it up.
I'm not sure. Okay, well,
I don't know.
maybe it's a play on words. Like maybe it's like the drugs, like that kind
Okay, I
of
was just
concept. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
not
what I was
familiar
wondering.
with
Me
it.
either.
I mean, does anyone have any thoughts? Obviously, the
Sometimes they-
COVID situation
yeah,
is.
But otherwise, I don't see, is that a Saturday?
He didn't give a date.
Oh, okay.
He just says in
Yeah,
November.
it would be
Oh,
a
okay.
Saturday.
Yeah.
If we
In the
approve, then you'd have to
afternoon,
schedule for a
yeah.
Saturday. And I forgot one thing to mention. They've had these around the United States in different towns.
I love Boston.
So,
I think it'd be really good for the kids and everyone involved too.
Now, do we
Now,
have,
will they have police presence there?
I mean, we could do that.
pardon me?
Will you have just a couple, will you have police presence there? Because you never know how
Yeah,
sometimes things
You
get.
could definitely.
You
Oh,
might
just to
have one, you
make
might
sure.
have one there just to.
A little too into it.
Yeah.
We could do that. I'll work with Chief Smith.
Yeah.
are we still required to make sure that people wear masks?
Yeah, I think that we should definitely do that.
Yeah, everything we had before would do the same thing for every program if we approve it.
So my question is, and this would be a solicitor question, how do you enforce that?
Well, and that's the tough part for any municipality, and I think that's been a struggle for municipalities across the board. One of the things that we've done in that standard agreement, one, we've required the event organizer to prepare essentially a safety plan that's conforming with the Department of Health and CDC guidelines, and then make the affirmation that as a condition of using it, they're going to enforce that plan. And if, there's any sort of a deposit or something, they would waive a deposit. And I don't know if, council wants deposits for all sorts of events, especially if it's a smaller event. But in addition to that, the waivers that everybody signs also reiterate and it is essentially an agreement for the participants that they're going to abide by those same rules and the health and safety plan that the organizer prepares. Now, going back to actually enforcing it, unless you've got somebody there the entire duration of the event who can watch every single person and has the ability to intervene in the event that somebody's not following those rules, enforcement becomes an issue, and that's where all municipalities are struggling with that. Just like businesses are with people who they don't have to have a mask, for example, if they have an underlying health condition that precludes them from doing that. So enforcement is always a concern. The most that the city can do, other than just not permitting the events at all, is to have these sorts of agreements and these sorts of waivers in place, and then perhaps having some sort of an official presence stop down, if not the whole time, then throughout the event, just to remind people that they need to have masks and to the extent possible social distance and whatnot.
So you're going to say that people that come into the event would be required to sign the waiver also?
So I think any participants in the event would need to sign the waiver. If it's not somebody that's participating, it's just somebody who's a spectator or whatnot, they probably would not be required. The city could require even spectators to, if they wanted to take that route, but otherwise it would fall on the event organizer as an express term of their event agreement to make sure that anybody that's there, including spectators, follow those rules.
One other thing, Brian Bursick is a homeowner in Monessen, so he's the one that's pushing the event.
Is there any other other questions about this? Any other requirements that council would like to make?
That's a question. What about, who's responsible for cleanup? Because I know it can get, if they're eating food.
They would need.
Yeah, so are they gonna have a deposit on that, that the crew cleans it up afterwards, or are they, you understand what I'm saying? Because if it's, people are eating, they're throwing stuff all over the park, that's gonna fall on our street crew, and, or are they gonna be required to pay deposit so that that goes towards the city to clean all that up?
Absolutely.
Okay?
Right, that's fine, we'll clean it up, but that, you gotta have a deposit for that.
Well, if they clean it up and it's clean,
Right,
they
then
get their
right,
deposit
they
back.
get the
If
deposit
we
back.
have to clean it up,
Right.
they'll
Okay.
keep the
Right,
money.
I think you should have something like that, because it could be a total wreck.
Okay, I could do that.
Yeah, and that's the standard agreement that we have includes blank lines for all of those, so it already provides for it. If council wanted to have a deposit, there's already a line there that deposit amount could be input. Otherwise, it would just be zero, obviously. But it is generally a good idea to request a deposit just because you don't want to fall on the city to clean up.
Anything else? All right. We're gonna move down to public comment on agenda items.
Sure. Or do you agree to have it?
I mean, I'm fine with it. What about?
What you would, just as a point of order, you would
Yeah.
want to characterize it as a motion after public comment to approve that event.
Yeah.
Do we need to go back to him to make sure that the things that are gonna be required, that's gonna be required by the city is okay with him first?
Doesn't matter what it is.
Doesn't make any difference. Once we state it, he
If he
accepts
agrees
it
to
or
it, we
rejects
don't
it.
have to.
That's
Yeah,
it.
I mean, if he doesn't submit it, then
Yeah, it's not,
Doesn't have the-
there are rules, they're not his rules.
okay. So after public comment, we will make a motion on that.
Yeah, that's correct, yep.
So I'm going to open the floor for public comment on agenda items only.
Okay, this is Ernie, telegraphist, 29 Rex. Now, Matt, you want to accept awards all the time. It says here, award letter from the United States Department of Agriculture to authorize the direct city officials and employees to take such steps as may be necessary to work with the USDA in developing necessary documents for further approval by USDA and City Council. What does that mean?
So
What are we talking about?
That's,
Should have been last month.
that's accepting the $19.8 million award for USDA, and there's going to be other paperwork.
Yeah,
throughout
okay,
this whole
you
process.
threw me a number. What do you have to do to earn that $19 million? What are we talking about?
Well, so this started, I believe, so going back, the backstory, we're in a consent decree with the DEP. So that, I believe, was 2009. Lou's administration started this process, carried it forward through 2018 and 2019. 2019, the talks fell with the USDA, and then we managed to get that moving again. John and the city engineers.
Okay, what was
pushed that.
accomplished during that whole time in 2009? What was accomplished?
Well, obviously, none of us were here, so
Okay, but what was accomplished? Tony, could you say something? What was accomplished? You were in that.
They set the ground foundation with, first they explored USDA, they looked at DEP. Penvest was involved in it. I remember going to hearing meetings when Lou, or before Lou. And the cities, as I've spoken many times over the last 2 years, the infrastructure for the sewer system is not collapsing, it's past collapsed, and it's wonder it's even standing in. And if you remember, we talked many times up here about, we got to do something, okay? Lois could talk a little bit more about the USDA and the talks. It was more of going back and forth and them taking weeks to months to getting back to us than just saying nothing stalled. It was just, they just never got back to Tony. I made phone calls to that lady. I know Lois made phone calls to that lady. We all made phone calls, and We're just trying to push it through.
Okay, I just want clarification. To take such steps as necessary in developing necessary documents for further approval. What does that mean?
It means there's paperwork that has to be approved by the U.S.
Yeah, I know it says
Yeah.
Let me
paperwork.
finish, Ernie.
Okay.
Means there's
So-
paperwork that
So
has to
for
be.
example, just to point out, so it's a USDA project, and as a USDA project, there's a lot of additional paperwork that has to go in and be approved. So for example, the sewage lines, new plans for exactly what constitutes those sewage lines, and the repair work that will be done with those, and any bid specs that are required to be bid out, those would all have to be prepared. They'd have to be prepared on the city's end and then ultimately approved by USDA. Any bond financing document in connection with the USDA loan or the USDA grant that we'll be receiving, if there's any grant requirements or grant covenants or whatnot, those would all have to be prepared and have that in order for the funding to go ahead and go through. So
Okay, so
it's
this
those
is-
sorts of items that would still need to be prepared, and this is the next step in authorizing the city to begin the process of saying, okay, go ahead at this point and prepare this document, go ahead and prepare this document based on a checklist that USDA will provide to us.
Okay, so you made it clear, now I understand, this has to do with getting the money to make improvements on the sewer system, right? Okay, that's not what this paragraph says. It's just a bunch of malarkey words. If I just come in and I read that, I will have no clue that it was tied in with the sewage, with the, with the lines and all that the city's trying to make improvements. So what I'm trying to say is I'd like you people to be more clear and objective and define things. Don't throw out USDA, this and that, because I don't live to worship big institutions.
I mean,
I'm
that's,
not a slave.
that's where we got the
Okay,
funding
but
from.
I don't
so
want you
that's why
people
it's
coming on.
important.
The most important sovereignty in this country is the local government, and it better stand on its own 2 feet instead of kissing the people upstairs. Okay, because if we do that, we might as well be Chinese and Russia, because they don't have these different levels of government. It's all one big club. So if you're going to exercise representation for local government, I like to see some sovereignty to be developed that stands on its own 2 feet and not like, oh, whippy, I'm with these big boys, I'm with that, okay?
If they're giving us $19.8 million,
No, they're not
we
giving it
have
to
to
you.
spend it how they tell us to.
John R. has been working on this, and he has to lay down the groundwork to get it. They don't give you anything unless you present to them your intelligence of fulfilling the objectives. Okay, they don't give you anything. See, that's another thing you got, Matt. You're too eager to fit in with the people upstairs. You're supposed to represent the local government, and that's it. And if it takes, sometimes you have to take a stand against the higher ups, because when they make rulings and when they put out mandates, it ain't for us, it's for them. And I'm not going to fall in line like a duck in a row, like most people are doing today, without even questioning the sincerity or the ulterior motives that these big people got. So that's what I'm just saying. But I'm glad that this is clarified, but when you read this, it's not clear. I don't know what the hell that meant. It sounded like a bunch of words put together, and I don't know where it was taken from. That's why I asked the questions, and that's why I jumped on it. Thank you.
Ron Moser, 25 Colonial. I know that's a big subject here, and I don't want to go on to too much more, but just a couple of questions. The USDA will actually be managing this project, or will the city be managing the project? Who's actually managing the project for the sewer project?
They, to my understanding, and the solicitor could clarify, they basically have to agree to what we do for the project. Is that right?
Yeah, so essentially, because we're kind of the on-the-ground, local, the governmental entity locally that's sponsoring the project, so to speak, it's our project, so we become responsible for defining the scope of it, coming up with the specific plans and whatnot. But that then has to be turned over to USDA for them to review, to make sure that it's acceptable to them. And then if they approve it, that's a condition basically of their funding, and they're providing that funding to the city. So, it's technically our project. We would be the ones bidding it out. We would be the ones that the contract with an ultimate contractor would be, but they would be, overseeing it, so to speak, at a much higher level, just to make sure that we're complying with all their requirements.
A few years ago, in a prior lifetime, I managed a $20 million project for the company I was working for. That is a huge, huge project by anybody's scale. It actually took me 3 years and some 250 people working for me to manage to run that project. The point being is, how long is this project going to take?
It's a 5-year project.
5-year project. And that's still $5 million, that's $4 million a year. That's still a very healthy project. The point being is, what kind of transparency is going to be maintained? If there's that much money and that much responsibility placed upon such a few number of people, what kind of transparency is there going to be maintained for us as the public to see how this money is being spent, that it's being spent properly, and so forth?
Well, I would imagine that the USDA would require us to do reports throughout the whole thing, and so we can make those reports public.
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, as USDA funding, especially at the level of funding that it would be at, there are a whole bunch more reporting requirements, transparency requirements, multiple levels of government, unfortunately or fortunately, that everything has to be run through. And so there would actually be a lot more documentation and a lot more sets of eyes on everything, because it would require a lot more approvals. So it actually, in that sense, there's a lot more transparency just as a result of the additional red tape.
And I hope the city council comes up with something that really keeps transparency very clear. It kind of concerns me. I was here Tuesday for the work session last week, and what we got today is considerably different. But one of the things that really stands out in my mind is, as an example, we have an entrance to the men's room. Obviously, in the budget, there's money being spent to remodel the building here. But yet I don't recall that ever being discussed in city council meetings, that there's money being spent to do the lighting at the library. I don't recall that ever being discussed. The point being is, you don't have a real good history of being open and honest with everybody on how money is being spent. And it very much concerns me that $20 million is a lot of money. It's a lot of money that needs to be very well controlled, a lot of scrutiny, a lot of transparency.
I agree with you. I agree with you in everything you said.
All right, thank you.
We're going to move on to correspondence. Monessen will hold a recycling drop-off event and cleanup day on Saturday, September 19th, between the hours of 8 to noon. For the recycling event, the items can be dropped off at the city garage, and this is through the Westmoreland Cleanways. We've been negligent on our recycling collection over the last 5 years. It's actually dipped down to 1%, and that the requirement is we can get grant money based on our recycling intake, and right now we're eligible for about $500.
Yeah, we're losing about $10,000 to $15,000 a year because we haven't been doing that for the last few years.
So that also ties into leaf collection, which is a whole other topic. And then we have supplies, correct, for a cleanup, or do we need additional supplies?
Right now we have about 100 bags, about 36 bags of oil, and about 20 bags.
Okay, so if we could get like some more bags or something at least.
Yeah.
So what I was thinking, and anyone feel free to chime in, like, everyone is more than welcome. Clean your front yard, clean your block, whatever you feel that you're up to doing. But if you feel so inclined to take one of the main roads like 3rd Street or Perenni or something like that, like Councilwoman Thomas says, we have the vests. bags. Typically in the past, they've just left the bags, like on the main streets anyway, in each section, and we'll go around and pick them up later. But the biggest concern obviously is broken glass and needles, so please don't pick those up. If you find one, let the police know or something so that they can handle it. We don't want anyone touching those.
Hopefully, you know, we're gonna try, Matt and I are gonna just try to get together maybe tomorrow and throw some things around, and then hopefully put something on Facebook, and maybe we can get something in the paper by Friday, you know, for the main arteries like 3rd Street, 6th, 9th, and Perenni.
Yeah.
Because we did get a few calls, so hopefully we can get something together and get it out where the public, if you wanna participate, you'll know where to meet on those main arteries. But throughout the week, clean up your street, your neighborhood, what have you, you know, through the week, but Saturday, probably maybe like 9 to 12, join one of the main arteries and let's get those main arteries cleaned up.
Even downtown here, I
Right.
noticed some stuff this morning when I was down here, so. Oh yes, very important, for the recycling drop-off, it is for Monessen residents only. So they will ask you for an ID, and this is to avoid us getting a ton of people dropping off a ton of stuff that we will not be able to manage. So, and Cleanways expressed that too, that it should be for Monessen residents only. But there's a sign on the door with a list of items, but it's essentially tires, TVs, electronic devices like light bulbs, except for incandescent bulbs, Christmas lights, that sort of thing. No appliances, no mattresses, no furniture, and no paint or anything like that, any hazardous materials.
You said tires too?
Yeah, tires too. And this is good because I think that if we don't do something like this, these items are just going to end up in an empty lot somewhere or a hillside. So,
Hey, I have a question. Why don't you charge extra for out of town so if they bring their stuff? Give them $5, $10, make some money out of it.
yeah, I mean, that's too late to do that for this one, but I'd like to have one in the spring again, so that's something
Yeah,
I would revisit.
but add an incentive to make some money.
Well, you have an issue, because you have to drive 30-some miles up with the truck and back. So you have 2 men in a truck, that's $50-some, plus mileage and everything, so you want to stay away from, we have enough internally that are thrown over the hill and on the roads and everywhere. So we have enough, right now we have about 45 TVs down there.
And that's been all year.
We just took 3 truckloads up.
Yeah.
So the money that came back from the government, people went out and bought TVs, and we have all the extras down there. And like I said, 3 truckloads already. So they'll just pile up on it.
I issued a proclamation on the occasion of the 100th anniversary of the passage of the 19th Amendment. There were connections to Monessen with that for the right for suffrage, and also a proclamation on the occasion of the 122nd anniversary of the founding of Monessen on September 3rd. We have a statement of goals in compliance with the National Program for Minority and Women Business Enterprises, Executive Order 11625, City of Monessen. That is for CDBG, that is a requirement for CDBG. And we also have, this is a policy for city employees. In order for the city to fully comply with the Pennsylvania Department of Health orders and Centers for Disease Control guidance, the city implements this protocol. For purposes of this protocol, probable is defined as being symptomatic for COVID, confirmed is defined as a positive test result for COVID, and close contact defined as being within 6 feet of a probable or confirmed case of COVID for about 10 minutes. That policy goes on to explain if employees go out of the state, what they need to do when they come back, what those guidelines would be. We talked about this last month as well. And the union has okayed it, is that correct?
Yes.
I had a couple requests to read the mid-year State of the City address into the record, so I am going to do that. This is dated August 13th, 2020, so just of note, the USDA.
Mayor,
Yeah.
just to go back to those last two,
Oh, yeah.
those two items should require votes of council.
The statement of goals and the
In that policy,
policy.
yeah, to
Okay.
implement both of those, yeah.
Okay, so we could do that under new business, yes? Or?
Yeah, that would be fine, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. This is dated August 13th, so just to note, the USDA funding award is not included in this. Dear Monessen residents, I am honored to present to you this mid-year State of the City address for the City of Monessen. This address covers updates and accomplishments made by this administration for the betterment of our city from January 2020 through August 2020. In dealing with the ongoing pandemic, economic hardships, closures, and everything in between, it has been a difficult year for all of us. We are happy that we have still been able to get so much accomplished despite the challenges this year has brought. I want to thank you, the residents, for helping us ensure that everyone stays safe and cared for during these tough times. You have all proven time and again the importance of building a strong, positive community and how resilient we all are when we support our neighbors. First, I want to take a moment to thank our city employees, the clerical staff, Public Works Department, Police Department, and especially our City Administrator John Harhigh, Chief of Police Jim Smith, City Consultant Walt Haglund, City Engineer Tony Vitale, City Solicitor Tim Witt, and Municipal Fire Chief Delmar Heppel. They have all devoted countless hours to finding funding, planning and preparing projects and initiatives, organizing documents, finding and implementing cost-saving measures, researching ordinances, and keeping our city safe. It is because of them and their hard work that we have been able to get so much accomplished in such a short amount of time. Without good employees, our city would not be able to function properly. We are lucky to have them all. Here are some highlights of our accomplishments thus far for the year 2020. Hired a new city solicitor, Tim Witt. Hired a new city administrator, John Harhigh. Extended the police chief contract. Hired a new accounts payable and payroll clerk, Cheryl Gordon. Hired a new code enforcement officer, Todd Carter. Appointed a new city controller, Rosalie Nixich. Rehired Portnoy Collection Agency to collect delinquent debts owed to the city. Demolished 5 structures and paved 4 roads. Purchased the following equipment for the Public Works Department: street sweeper, front-end loader, arm tractor, and 2 riding tractors, which will be funded through line usage, liquid fuels, and the Parks Fund. Began the process of planning for the construction of the DEP mandated EQ tank. Did not acquire a tax anticipation note. This year, Monessen was denied by 2 banks and was not able to receive a TAN. The reasons being the recent instability of leadership and internal struggles taking place, budget and past financial statements not making any sense, a significant amount of long-term debt without a concise plan of repayment, and a lack of collateral in the form of real property. The city sold off past real property during the past administration. Since delinquent garbage payment collection began in July, over $61,000 in lost revenue has been paid to the city in 1 month. Solicitor bills, $20,400, about 39% less year to date. Saved $64,000 on workmen's compensation insurance for 2020 to 2021, under budget on city engineering fees. Applied for several grants for various public improvements and currently awaiting results. Improved playgrounds at City Park and 9th Street Park. Currently working on improvements to Shawnee Park with the help of volunteers. Completed much needed maintenance at the boat launch. Improved lighting at City Park due to safety issues. Began clearing public sidewalks at brush and weeds. Creating a new city website which will launch. Working on methods to market the city and improve its image to attract investment. Working to reestablish the city's line of credit and build trust with institutions and organizations. Repaired the roof at Hilltop Fire Station. Created a police accountability and internal affairs board. Abolished downtown parking meters. Updated fireworks regulations. Hired 2 new full-time police officers. Acquired 2 new police cars through funding from the Westmoreland Community Foundation. Updated police department and city hall computer equipment. Appointed new municipal fire chief Delmar Heppel. investigating potential wiretapping and improprieties with city cameras, began work to appoint vacant city board positions so boards are fully functional, began the process of seeking RFPs for auditing services, successfully completed an emergency repair of a collapsed sewer line near the river, repaired facilities, routine maintenance at Columbus and City Park ball fields, finished the uncompleted liquid fuels funds grant application so the city could receive $284,000, received $298,000 in CDBG funds for the fiscal year, began repainting yellow curbs throughout the city, began replacing various traffic signs throughout the city, rejoined the Westmoreland County Housing Consortium, updated citywide fire and burning regulations, continued the process to acquire funding through the USDA to replace main sewer lines throughout the city, repurposed 2 former police vehicles for municipal chief and code enforcement, causing savings in insurance costs, repaired a portion of a wall at 4th Street and Parkway, began promoting the state's Conservatorship Act to encourage building rehabilitation, saw the opening of at least 2 new downtown businesses, working to pay off $656,000 in 2019 debt due to mismanagement of funds. All bills for 2020 are currently paid and up to date. Overall, we still have been able to make payroll and pay all of our current bills for this year. We are still working on paying down the bills that were not paid in 2019 due to mismanagement. We will continue to work with the agencies to pay these bills down. We are not anywhere near bankruptcy like some have predicted we would be by this month. While we are certainly doing better financially, in that we are under budget year to date and have been saving money on various fronts, all while getting projects accomplished, we still have a long way to go. We need to continue to find ways to make investments where they make sense and seek additional funding so that we can grow our city, attract new residents and businesses, invest in our infrastructure like our roads and sewers, invest in our assets like our parks and public buildings, and invest in our future development by completing development projects, rehabilitation projects, and helping existing homeowners and businesses get the help they need to grow and thrive. This year, we have seen several new businesses open and homes have been selling throughout the city. We need to keep this positive momentum moving and let people know the benefits of living in Monessen. I'm proud of the work we have accomplished so far, and although we have a long way to go, I believe we are moving in the right direction. I can't wait to share more updates with you at the next State of the City address so we can show our progress and continue charting a new course to rebuild our city. It is because of the cooperation and willingness of members of this council and the hard work of our employees, especially our city administrator, that these things could be accomplished. I am very grateful for their work. Thank you all. Stay safe and healthy. Onward, Max Sharon, Mayor, City of Monessen. We don't have any old business, so I'd like to move to the treasurer's report. Treasurer.
Mayor and members of City Council. Treasurer's report, September 15, 2020. Ladies and gentlemen, garbage fees and real estate taxes collected for the month of August. Garbage fees current, $3,565. Year to date, $341,788.29. Budgeted amount, $370,000. Garbage delinquent, August, $2,547.74. August year to date, $111,326.14. Budgeted amount for 2020, $200,000. Garbage fees housing quarterly. August, we received $15,258.75. Year to date, $57,776.25. 2020 budgeted $67,800 for a total amount $637,800.
What did you say the year-to-date in August for the housing authority? Did you say 50-something?
$15,258.75.
15, okay, because it says 40. What, no, that second one, the August year-to-date. I thought you said 50.
45,000.
45,000.
Yeah, that threw me off. I just thought, wait, we had the wrong number or something. Is it 45?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Anything else, Nelson?
No, I just thought you said 57, that's
No.
all. I was-
Well, if I did, it was my mistake.
That's okay, I just wanted to make sure I had the right numbers.
Okay, garbage fees collected for 2021. August, $200. Year-to-date, $624.98. 2020 budget of $100,000. City real estate taxes, revenues. City real estate taxes, current, August, $82,051.35. Year-to-date, $1,985,709.98. 2020 budgeted. General fund, $1,450,000. Debt service fund budgeted, $500,000. Parks, $251,750. Library, $50,000 for a total of $2,251,750. Delinquent city taxes collected. Prior year collected by the city. Nothing for August, year-to-date, $4,672.39. The budget amount for 2020 was $4,000. Collected by Portnoy, we received nothing this month and nothing year-to-date as of now. City taxes collected by Westmoreland. Nothing for August. Year-to-date, $93,494.42. Budget amount for 2020, $120,000. Tax Claim Bureau, quarterly, nothing. Total year-to-date taxes, $2,083,876.79. City real estate taxes distribution. The general fund received $1,338,171.49. Debt service fund received $462,723.83. Parks received $232,981.47. Library fund received $50,000 for a total of $2,083,876.79. We now start to include other revenues that we have been collecting that we were not reporting for quite a while. This will be a monthly report as an attachment to the current garbage and real estate taxes. Real estate transfer tax. August, we received $7,321.21. Year-to-date, $151,160.97. Earned income tax. August, $64,559.51. Year-to-date, $423,311.14. Mercantile tax, $1,314.26. Year-to-date, $22,090.53. Local service taxes. August, $13,586.29. Year-to-date, $57,428.94. Tax certifications. August, $2,260. Year-to-date, $14,840. Municipal lien letters, $1,575 for August. Year-to-date, $11,025. Mayor, that concludes my report. I need a motion on this, please.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the treasurer's report as read. Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions? Call the roll.
Councilman Coles?
Aye.
Councilman Thomas?
Yes.
Councilman Grigor?
Aye.
Councilman Chakowski?
Yes.
Mayor Sherrod?
Yes.
Mayor and council, due to family commitments, I have to excuse myself for the balance of the meeting.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, have a good evening, everyone.
Two.
You too. Controller?
Mayor and members of City Council, the general fund community bank checking account balance as of August 31st, 2020. The beginning bank balance as of July 31st, 2020 was $776,584.44. Deposits made were $342,951.98. Expenses, $393,210.36. The ending balance as of August 31st, 2020 was $726,326.06. Outstanding checks, $2,171, and outstanding deposits was $48,644.06. The reconciled balance to the bank statement as of August 31st, $772,799.12. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Moving on to new business. Yes, yeah. So moving on to new business, as we discussed earlier in the meeting, we have to vote on the statement of goals for minority women business enterprises, the proposed event at 9th Street Park, and the employee policy for COVID-19. So I will do these in order that they are listed on the agenda. I'd like to make a motion to approve Mr. Bursick and his proposed boxing event in November at 9th Street Park, provided, or in contingent upon him providing us with the requested waivers and deposit, as we discussed. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Is there any other question on that? Call the roll.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Yes.
Councilman Gregor?
Aye.
Councilman Orchakowski?
Yes.
Councilman Coles?
Yes.
Mayor Sherrod?
Yes. I'd like to make a motion to approve a statement of goals in compliance with the National Program for Minority and Women Business Enterprises, Executive Order 11625, City of Monessen, PA, and this again is for CDBG. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any questions? Call the roll.
Councilman Gregor?
Aye.
Councilman Orchakowski?
Yes.
Councilman Coles?
Yes.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Yes.
Mayor Sherrod?
Yes. And I would like to make a motion to adopt a policy for the City of Monessen employees in order for the city to fully comply with the PA Department of Health orders and CDC guidance surrounding COVID-19. Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions? Call the roll.
Councilman Orchakowski?
Yes.
Councilman Coles?
Yes.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Yes.
Councilman Gregor?
Aye.
Mayor Sherrod?
Yes. I would like to make a motion to accept the award letter from the United States Department of Agriculture, USDA, September 4th, 2020, and to authorize and direct city officials and employees to take such steps as may be necessary to work with USDA in developing necessary documents for further approval by USDA and City Council, and to approve the engineering professional services agreement, agency concurrences approval, and certificate for engineering services subject to review, approval, and finalization by the city solicitor and USDA RUS, and to authorize and direct the mayor and city administrator to execute such documents on behalf of the city, conditioned upon such review, approval, and finalization. Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions?
Yeah, I think you ought to add on there for what it's for.
Yes, and this is again for the sewer rehabilitation project. Call the roll.
Councilman Coles?
Yes.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Yes.
Councilman Gregor?
Aye.
Councilman Orchakowski?
Yes.
Mayor Sherrod?
Yes. I'd like to make a motion to approve a writ of execution by Portnoy Law Associates. Portnoy is asking whether council would like the city to be able to pursue legal proceedings to force the sale of someone's property with a substantial unpaid balance of $585 or more and has not made payment arrangements. This may incentivize some residents to pay their garbage bills, and the $585 is 3 years of garbage payments, to clarify. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any questions? Call the roll.
Councilman Coles?
Yes.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Yes.
Councilman Gregor?
Aye.
Councilman Orchakowski?
Yes.
Mayor Sherrod?
Yes. I'd like to make a motion to approve the mailings of the mid-year state of the city address and the city quarterly newsletter. Approximate mailing cost is $1,800. And just to clarify, this will also be posted on the city website. Once it's complete, they're adding agendas and minutes to the city website right now. And this is so that we can get this information out to all the taxpayers, beyond the newspaper, beyond social media and the website. So I think there are a lot of elderly people who prefer to have something in their hands. So in an effort to be more transparent, I think this will be good for the city and the residents. And council will have the opportunity to contribute to the newsletter when it does get drafted and printed. Is there a second for that? Any questions?
So Mayor, we spent $6,000 on the website
Yes,
that we didn't know anything about.
yes.
Now you want to spend $1,800. As Mr. Mosier has pointed out, this money wasn't budgeted in.
It wasn't, and next year we will see to it that there is a marketing budget. You are constantly saying you want to be transparent, so we need to make sure that all of the residents have the information. So
But that's
this will go
next
out to all of the households.
But that's next year's budget. You put
Yes,
it in.
and this year we are seeking approval for a quarterly newsletter, which will go out at the end of this quarter, which would be towards the end of this year.
Again, why are we spending $1,800?
So that we can be transparent and so that all of the public knows what we're doing.
Not just the one on social media, or get the MVI.
And again, the digital version of that will be posted on the website too.
He's absolutely correct. There's a lot of elderly people that, they have no clue what's been going on in the city. No offense to any of the newspapers. You can't put in the newspaper, yes. However, you can put in a newsletter a lot more information than what's getting out.
Right. We could put a financial snapshot, we could put ordinances that have been passed so that people know what those ordinances are. We could put each council member's department and what their initiatives are so that the public knows what's going on. I believe the school district used to do something like that years ago, so it's the same concept, just not as elaborate of a mailing.
Hey, Matt, I'd like to know, you paid
This is-
$6,000, right?
We will get to that in public comment. Call the roll, please.
Councilor Gregor?
Aye.
Councilor Orzachowski?
No.
Councilor Coles?
Yes.
Councilwoman Thomas?
I think it is a necessary thing. I will vote yes, but once again, this should have been, we didn't discuss this. What's the problem with us discussing it? That's why we have work sessions.
It was on the work session agenda
Right,
last
but we
week.
didn't talk about how much it
No one brought up
cost
a
or anything.
concern at the work session.
About the cost.
Yes. No one said anything. It was on the work session
But
agenda.
don't you think we should be able to talk about that?
That's, the
I
cost
mean,
is on
like table
there.
that until we talk about it?
No, at the work session, I said that we would have a cost. There's the cost. So it was discussed. No one brought any
Cost
concern.
is-
So you did say you were going to bring up the cost.
Yes.
We found out 20 minutes before the meeting what the cost was.
This was sent to you earlier today.
No. No, it wasn't. I got a time state on my phone. I didn't get it till after 5 o'clock.
Well, it was sent at 4:30. So, but we discussed it at the work session. No one had any comments on it. You're absolutely right. That's why we have a work session. It was not commented on. So it's on the agenda. And we're in the process of calling a vote.
Communications go out to 5 o'clock. Got mine at 4:33.
That's almost fine.
Who has voted so far?
Councilwoman Thomas?
No.
Mayor Sherrod?
Yes. Item E, I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution number 12 of 2020, a fair housing resolution. Let it be known to all persons in the city of Monessen that discrimination in the sale, rental, leasing, financing of housing or land to be used for construction of housing or in the provision of brokerage services because of race, color, sex, national origin, religion, familial status, families with children, or handicap, disability is prohibited by Title VIII of the Civil Rights Act of 1968, the Federal Fair Housing Act, and the Pennsylvania Human Rights Act. And this is also dealing with our CDBG fund. Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions? Call the roll.
Councilor Orzachowski?
Yes.
Councilor Coles?
Yes.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Yes.
Councilor Gregor?
Aye.
Mayor Sherrod?
Yes. Item F, I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution number 13, a resolution of the City of
Skip number 11.
Forgot.
Did I skip one?
Resolution 11.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Thank you. Okay, yeah, so that was D. Item D, sorry. I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution number 11 of 2020, City of Monessen hiring and appointment procedures. A resolution of the City of Monessen, Westmoreland County, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, establishing certain rules and procedures for potential new hires, establishing certain rules and procedures for potential appointees to all city boards, authorities, and commissions, and providing for an effective date. Is there a second?
Second.
Question? Call the roll.
Councilman Coles?
Yes.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Yes.
Councilor Chakowski?
Yes.
Councilor Grigor?
Aye.
Mayor Sherrill?
Yes. Now moving down to item F. Motion to approve resolution number 13 of 2020, a resolution of the City of Monessen to accept and authorize the implementation of the 2021 minimum municipal obligation MMO for city pension plans. Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions? Call the roll.
Councilman Coles?
Yes.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Yes.
Councilor Grigor?
Aye.
Councilor Chakowski?
Yes.
Mayor Sherrill?
Yes. Item G, motion to approve resolution number 14 of 2020, a resolution of the City of Monessen approving and authorizing the submission of a budget revision to the fiscal year 2018 Community Development Block Grant CDBG program year. Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions?
Yes, how much was the unexpended fund?
You know that more?
$20,000.
$20,000.
This, to do the new zoning ordinance, to redo our entire zone.
Okay.
Call the roll.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Yes.
Councilor Grigor?
Aye.
Councilor Chakowski?
Yes.
Councilman Coles?
Yes.
Mayor Sherrill?
Yes. Item H, motion to approve ordinance number 8 of 2020, an ordinance of the City of Monessen to include boring or disturbance beneath any street or public alleyway, repealing inconsistent ordinances and providing for an effective date. Is there a second?
Second.
Question? Call the roll.
Councilor Grigor?
Aye.
Councilor Chakowski?
Yes.
Councilman Coles?
Yes.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Yes.
Mayor Sherrill?
Yes. I'd like to make a motion to conduct the first reading of ordinance number 9 of 2020, an ordinance of the Council of the City of Monessen, Westmoreland County, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, establishing compensation on a per-meeting basis, repealing ordinance number 1 of 2019 of the City of Monessen. Yes, and that's it. Is there a second?
Second.
Questions?
Yes, is this the one of we had the discussion about the legality of the fine?
Yeah.
And the solicitor has the answer, I believe.
Solicitor. Tim, are you there?
Oh, I'm sorry, guys. With respect to the ordinance on the fine, ordinance with the fine, I should say, I took a look at the third-class city code, I took a look at the Constitution, some similar case law surrounding that. It's truly an open question with respect to whether or not the fine as an assessment itself was inappropriate or whether it constituted compensation that could go into effect immediately or something that affected compensation that could go into effect immediately. The one issue that I did see under the third-class city code is to implement a fine or assessment provision. It needs to be done in the same ordinance where compensation is actually being set. And I think that was a little problematic perhaps with that prior ordinance because it didn't actually set any compensation and not implement that implicates the same concept too as to whether or not that fine and that assessment, if it's required to be in an ordinance that sets compensation, does that affect compensation in and of itself? Once again, I didn't find any case law on that specific point, so I'm not comfortable, providing a firm opinion on that. But I think there is, perhaps a problem with the initial ordinance that it's not included in an ordinance that actually fixes any sort of compensation. So under the specific wording of the third-class city code in that respect, I think that ordinance, may have been a little bit off in the sense that it didn't include and it wasn't as part of a larger compensation ordinance.
Anything else?
I'll let it go.
So does that mean, Tim, it stays and it's no problem, or what? Because that's contrary to what I was talking to you about that you told me.
Yeah, so once again, when we talked, what I was thinking was, hey, look, the assessment and the fines portion of it, that's not compensation itself. Because you can set compensation differently from fines and assessments. They're hypothetically two different concepts. But when I took a look after our conversation at the actual wording of the third-class city code, that specific section of it, and I could pull that section up to reference it, but it's the one that refers to compensation for city officials, city council members in particular. It specifically says that any levying of a fine or assessment for missing meetings, any sort of a penalty, has to be done with an ordinance fixing compensation. And so since Ordinance 1 of 2019 wasn't done in connection with an ordinance to actually fix and set the compensation, the only purpose of that ordinance was to actually create the fine and the assessment, the penalty. There could potentially be a problem with that under the third-class city code.
So it wasn't really legally done.
Because it wasn't done with an ordinance that actually set
Included
compensation.
the compensation.
Yeah, I mean, that could be a problem.
In my non-legal orientated mind, that means it was illegal.
Yeah, and it's an open question. Let's say that there was an ordinance where, it had the assessment and the fine go into effect immediately at the same time that it was setting compensation for, a council in the future. There's been no cases on this specific issue. There's no question as to whether or not that would be permissible. But the code, if we're looking at this very express wording in the actual third-class city code, the fine and the assessment portion needed to be included with an ordinance that sets compensation. And since this specific ordinance, 1 of 2019, didn't do that, that's potentially a problem.
Thank you.
Anything else? Call the roll.
Councilor Wojciechowski?
What are we doing now?
This is the
first reading.
of ordinance.
Oh, we don't have to.
We don't have to vote on
We
it.
have been in the past, so I don't know if you want to continue doing that, but
I'm okay
solicitor,
with
does it
that.
matter?
Not on a
Vote
reading.
on it, it's just a reading.
We have to read.
Well, what it does is it's technically formally an introduction.
Okay.
So on the code, there's a process is it has to be introduced actually at a meeting, and to vote on it, once you vote on it the first time to introduce it, that also serves as authorization for it to be advertised.
Gotcha.
And that adopts the specific form of the ordinance. And the reason that becomes important is because if the language in the ordinance would change, it would have to re-go through, and if it's a substantial change, I should clarify, it would need to go through that reintroduction process. So just to make it very clear as a matter of, the public record about procedurally where it's at, best practice is to vote on the introduction and first reading of an ordinance, just so it's clear that this is the actual official action being taken.
Okay. Call the roll, please.
Councilor Wojciechowski?
No.
Councilor Coles?
Yes.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Yes.
Councilor Grigor?
Aye.
Mayor Sherrod?
Yes. And just a note, this ordinance, if adopted next month, will take effect in 2022, because that's what third-class city code requires. Item J, motion to approve ordinance number 10 of 2020, an ordinance of the City of Monessen, Westmoreland County, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, amending certain sections of the city code by requiring all purchases of any building, property, or structure within the City of Monessen known to have one or more city code violations to bring that building, property, structure, or code into compliance with city code within 12 months of the date of purchase in accordance with PA Act number 133 of 2016, requiring the purchaser of real property to make a reasonable attempt to abate nuisance ordinance violations relating to maintenance, health, quality of life, or safety within 12 months of the date of purchase, authorizing the issuance of temporary access certificates, temporary use and occupancy certificates in accordance with PA Act number 133 of 2016, authorizing the imposition of penalties for failure to do so while preserving all remedies to the recovery, prevention, abatement, or restraint of code violations under other statutes and ordinances and providing for an effective date. And just to clarify, this, in short, anyone who buys any property in Monessen with a code violation, a known code violation, has 12 months to bring it up to code or make a reasonable attempt. So for example, because I know council had concerns with this last week, if you buy a building and your roof is really bad and it's like going to be very costly and a very elaborate fix, you might not be able to fix something, or, you know, if it's something that you can't fix within 12 months, if you come and prove that you're making the steps necessary to at least attempt to fix it, then we'll work with you on that. So that's in this under giving, where is it? Reasonable attempt to abate nuisance. So just to clarify. But is there a second?
Second.
Any other questions on this? Call the roll.
Councilman Coles?
Yes.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Yes.
Councilman Grigor?
Aye.
Councilman Orchakowski?
Yes.
Mayor Sherrod?
Yes. Item K. First reading, I'd like to make a motion to issue the first reading of ordinance number 11 of 2020, an ordinance of the City of Monessen, Westmoreland County, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, establishing requirements for the registration of vacant, abandoned, and foreclosed real property within the City of Monessen, providing for regulations and enforcement, assessing fees, violations, and penalties, and establishing a blight fund. And also to clarify on this, many of you probably are aware that we have the landlord fee that goes out for people who rent their properties. This is a similar concept with vacant and foreclosed properties. So it's a way, one, of us to know where they are, and two, for us to try to hold people accountable with these abandoned properties. Obviously, we're not going to be able to find everyone because a lot of them are out of state, but this will be another tool in our toolbox. None of these code ordinances undoes anything that's already on the books. This is in addition to what the code office can already do. And if you do not comply and you are issued a fine, that goes into the city's general fund, but the fee itself would go into a blight fund, so that will be additional money aside from CDBG so that we can address blight in the city, because it's been really hard for us to have money outside of CDBG to do that on a regular basis, so hopefully this will help. Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions? Call the roll.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Yes.
Councilman Grigor?
Aye.
Councilman Orchakowski?
Yes.
Councilman Coles?
Yes.
Mayor Sherrod?
Yes. Item L. I'd like to make a motion to issue the first reading of ordinance number 12 of 2020, an ordinance of the City of Monessen, Westmoreland County, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, providing for the creation of an environmental advisory board in and for the City of Monessen, establishing an authority and purpose, repealing inconsistent ordinances, and providing for an effective date. And this was suggested by our city engineers. One of the primary goals of this is to inform the public of our MS4 program, which is a requirement that we need to do. But the board would also have the ability to inform council on environmental issues. They could also help plan cleanups, maybe on a regular basis, or help with recycling that we are mandated to do, and work with the refuse authority on things like that. So there are a lot of things that they'd be able to help with. Is there a second?
Second.
Oh yes, and just to note, the MS4 book is on the code counter over there if anyone wants to look at it. Any questions? Call the roll.
Councilor Grigger,
Aye.
Councilor Chakowski,
Yes.
Councilor Coles,
Yes.
Councilwoman Thomas.
Yes.
Mayor Sherrill.
Item M, I'd like to make a motion to approve 2 handicap parking spaces at 1012 Leeds Avenue. The ordinance states a singular parking space, so we needed some clarification on that. Chief Smith has approved a parking space with the 2 placards that were submitted to us. Is there a second? Yeah, 1 space.
You have two.
Yeah, you do that too.
Two placards were submitted.
No, you have
So,
two
on the-
handicap parking spaces.
So yeah, it should be a 10.
One.
Okay.
It should be 1.
So I'm going to take that back. A motion to approve 1 handicap parking space at 1012 Leeds Avenue. And again, the ordinance states that we can issue a parking space. And Chief Smith has approved the parking space, and just a note, 2 placards were submitted. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any questions? Call the roll.
Councilor Chakowski,
Yes.
Councilor Coles,
Yes.
Councilwoman Thomas,
Yes.
Councilor Grigger,
Aye.
Mayor Sherrill.
Yes. And I will read the police report for the month ending August 2020. Total parking permits collected $300. Total miscellaneous collection $975. Total receipts from District Justice Office $3,086.71. And that breakdown, vehicle code fines collected $1,257.47. Crimes code fines collected $1,561.69. City ordinance collected $159.24. Code enforcement collected $108.31. Total receipts for August 2020, $4,381.71. The police department calls for 2020 for August. Total for August is 646, and the year-to-date is 4,446. Some highlights of that, we had 126 assist EMS, 22 assist fire, 14 assist LCE, 27 domestic complaints, 15 follow-up investigations, 17 hearings, 17 ID checks, 153 miscellaneous calls for service, 29 patrol checks, including county-owned property, 22 registration checks, 10 suspicious person, auto, or circumstance, and 40 vehicle stops. And we also had 7 warrant checks and arrests. And then arrests for August 2020, total 54, year-to-date 603. And total miles for August 2020, 6,149, and average miles per day is 198.36. And that concludes the police report. And I will hand it over to Councilwoman Thomas.
Good evening, everyone. Street report, they got garbage twice a week downtown, answered 45 PA1 calls, put up and removed several signs, they co-patched throughout the city, cut city properties and sidewalks, fixed catch basins on Coolidge Avenue, answered several complaints, and helped the Parks Department as needed. I see they have Redevelopment Authority report and Library Board. Basically, I was at the Redevelopment Authority, and basically they're working a lot. They're getting some revenue from the sidewalk program. Actually, at the meeting, I think they had about 4 or 5 sidewalks they're going to be purchased throughout Monessen. Working on the properties that they have, they've been working on making sure that the land's maintained as far as the grass and the weeds and things like that. Purchasing over a gallon of, I think it was a big gallon of weed killer. So they're working on their properties, trying to maintain those properties, get them up to par. As far as the library board, their new members started at their last meeting, Dawn McKechnie, I think it is. And just discussing, a lot of their events are virtual because of COVID-19. And so they're working on just little things right now. They had to postpone several of their fundraising events because they were in person. But one of the big things that they're working on is, it's more like, it's not Anne Frank, but it's a Jewish a speaker who's a teacher and did a lot of documentaries. They were supposed to have one here, but they postponed that possibly till next spring, because they'd rather have her in person than do a virtual one. So those are some of the things that they're doing, but that's about it for the Library Board and Redevelopment Authority.
And just for the public, when do each of those meet, just so people know?
The Library Board meets the day after our work session.
So the first Wednesday?
First Tuesday.
Okay, first Tuesday.
And the Redevelopment Authority actually meets, I think, the day after this one, but I think they postponed that.
So tomorrow,
Yeah,
it
let
would
me
have
get
been
my,
tomorrow.
yeah, they postponed that, but yeah, let me say.
Like the third one?
Yeah, I think it may be the third Tuesday. It's actually a Tuesday, it's the third Tuesday of every month for the
Okay.
Redevelopment Authority.
So third Tuesday of the month for redevelopment.
And second Wednesday of every month
For
for the
library.
Library Board.
Thank you. Councilman Orchard.
Parks Department report for August 2020, cut all the city parks and ball fields, brought pavilions ready for upcoming events, moved filing cabinets in the city hall, and helped the streets department as needed. And thank you all for that. Work is in progress to replace the existing lighting with new energy-saving LED lighting for the library parking lot. Completion in 3 weeks. Question, Mayor? This is the first time we're seeing this.
John, do you have any more?
Yeah, I'm working on that right now to get a contractor in. The lights haven't worked there for about 6 years, and so we're gonna put some underground wiring in again to replace it.
So we're going to...
So in about 3 weeks, we should be done.
Council has to vote on that.
Pardon me?
Council has to vote on that?
Well, let's vote.
Any expenditures?
Let's vote.
How? You don't have a price. You can't enter into a contract without...
$3,600. Okay, you got a price.
Solicitor?
So yeah, if there's an expenditure in his contract that anybody from or that the city is going to be entered into, that would need to be approved by council. And that's particularly true if there's not a specific budget line item that it's already included under. In order to approve it, there has to be a contractor identified, and ideally you could say approve up to an amount of X, because sometimes you don't know what all the contingencies or if there's a change order or something in there, but you at least want a general description of the work that's going to be done in connection with that contract. Have we received? I mean, has there been any quotes or any information exchanged about the specific work that would need to be done or anything like that?
Yeah, Kevin Price, who does all our electric work for the city, is the individual who will be doing the job. And
is there a specific identification in any correspondence going back and forth about what the specific work is going to be done to be?
yeah, the wiring, just putting wiring and fixtures on the pole, on the existing poles.
We believe that the wire was...
Is this a repair job?
This is a repair,
Yeah, we
replacement.
believe the wire was somehow cut.
Yeah, it's just a replacement project. It's been hanging after for 6 years.
Could I make another recommendation? We need to get some lighting in between the buildings here.
Yeah.
I walked out there the other day after the meeting yesterday, and it's pitch black. Somebody's going to get hurt out there, and we're going to get sued. We need to get lighting out there.
Oh, we have lighting on, was it on? It wasn't
I mean,
on?
Nothing was on.
Technically, the courtyard is...
The timer for it wasn't on.
There's nothing on the side of on this building along the side when I was out last night.
Yeah,
Was it turned off?
I'll check the timer. It either slipped or...
Okay, you need to look into that, because there was no lighting on there.
So for this specific action, to approve that, you would want to be, you'd want to entertain a motion to approve, the gentleman that, since it's under the bid threshold in terms of, what requires any sort of a public bid or whatnot, you'd want to approve the specific contractor, a contract with, whoever the specific, I forget the gentleman's name, to perform, and then include the description of the work, and then for an amount not to exceed X, whatever amount you think is going to be sufficient to cover that specific repair.
Tim, I think the question, maybe I'm incorrect, that Tony may be bringing up is that, is it normal for all the council members to know of this beforehand? I think that's the issue, instead of just reading this here today.
Oh, yeah, I mean.
I think that's the issue that Tony has, and I even have, that this is the first, as always, that we're hearing of a lot of items. That's the only issue, because I don't have any problem, but I think the main issue is that, is it customary that we should know about this before this is voted on? We didn't even know anything about it. That's the only issue we ever have, is that we are not being informed of all these things that are taking place.
Well,
Yeah.
Can you answer?
Go ahead.
I'd like you to answer,
Yeah.
please.
Yeah, so yeah, it's important for all the council members to know what's going on at a given point in time. Now, that's not to say that all council members are going to know everything that's going on, because that's why you guys are tasked with your own separate departments. So, something that's going on in one department that doesn't necessarily indicate something in another department, or the citywide as a whole, that may not directly come to the attention of another council member.
I understand that, but this is Tony's department.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. So that's why if it's something that this action being taken, there should be some communication going on there, just to, make sure that everybody's on the same page about what's going on within each person's department.
So basically the issue has been, this is something that we've addressed every meeting, and I can understand, I'm not gonna know everything that's going on in everybody else's department, but if it's relative to the department that the director is in charge of, they should be involved in whatever planning or decisions being made in their department. Am I correct, or am I not correct?
No, and that would be the best practice, yeah.
Okay, I just want to be clear on that.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, to further involve this, Tony, you were advised the last 2 years, the council at library meetings, they didn't have lighting, and the next item you have is the library building, where the slate is coming down and coming apart. You were advised and never took any action. So now when we take action to fix our facilities, you oppose it.
I'm not opposing it. I know exactly what this is. We
And,
talked about it many times before.
and-
I'm not against the work being done.
Okay, we talked many times before, you said.
And the
And you
concern,
just said you didn't know anything about it.
we don't want to have the same issue at Hilltop where damage occurs in the library because of leaks. Because that will happen. if
Well,
these
let me get
places-
this straight though, Tony. You knew that this situation existed,
Yeah, we all knew.
and you did nothing about it.
We didn't have the money to repair it
Why?
because we got 2 or 3 bids and it was expensive for that front of that building because of its slate.
So it's okay if the building continues to fall apart.
No, but we couldn't afford to do it at that time. Plus, the thing about the lighting, we were looking into also at the time, this goes back to the general contractor. It was cut during the general contractor's punch list, I found out. I found out when I dug into all the records from whenever the building was built. There was a lot of things that, right now, we knew about Dave, isn't it? The library? Yeah. Dave came to us and even mentioned, there's places in the blueprints, there's no plugs, but there should be plugs. And then there's places, there's plugs, there's no wiring. So this goes all the way back to when the building was renovated for $2.5 million.
That may all be true, but the situation with the lighting is something you were aware of that you could have corrected. The cost of
The cost on the lighting.
excuse me, the repair of that lighting, you estimated $3,600. Can you find out and get us a solid bid on that?
Because it's underneath, I
Because
believe
we
it's
need-
underneath the parking lot,
Because-
where it was cut.
No. We're gonna trench and put it in conduit. We're not gonna use the existing wire, because too many people have been in there. Too many people have been in there digging, and they're lining their pipe.
Mr.
in
Marmot,
different
can you get us a quote on this, and we can have a special meeting that we can
Sure.
vote this,
Yep, definitely.
get this done? These safety issues that were left go for the last 6 years, this is unconscionable. People are gonna get hurt. We get sued enough here without someone tripping over and breaking their leg or their neck in a parking lot because we couldn't find the funding. I'm gonna tell you what, when we took office, there was $250,000 sitting in parks. You're telling me you couldn't find any money to fix that? I'm sorry, that's negligence on your part. I'm sorry. That's ridiculous. We don't have lighting?
There wasn't some light. Some of it was out.
Some
They
lights-
changed light bulbs as they went
Well,
out.
that's great. You change a
Every-
few light bulbs, but we
there's a
don't have
different
any
lighting.
lighting for the whole lot. Someone gets hurt, who gets sued?
Tell them
That's
we
right,
didn't have
we have insurance coverage. So what if we get sued?
We didn't have the money.
Oh, yes, you did. You had $250,000 in parks. How did you not have any money? Those are your numbers. That was in the account. This is a safety issue. The building's starting to fall apart. Are you doing to the library what you did to Hilltop?
You're done now.
You didn't do anything to Hilltop,
Oh, that's exactly right. You did nothing. You let the building fall apart.
because nobody told us anything.
Really? Really? Would you like to see the screenshots of your comments to one of the Hilltop firefighters? About you had a bid for $15,000?
That's the roof.
The roof, that's right. But you said you didn't have any bids on that. You weren't aware of that
Oh,
last
no, we
meeting.
knew about the roof.
No, you
Because
didn't.
Billy Haynes turned around and
You
gave us the
said,
bids.
that's right, the last meeting you said you didn't.
No, I said we didn't know anything about the roof.
No, you said it's on the video. You said you did not know about the roof. You lied.
Over the building, the back building. We knew nothing about that
The
damage.
roof is the roof.
It was brought to you
There's
by...
3 roofs on that building.
Excuse me,
Full roofs.
excuse me. I contacted an individual who used to be on council, and he was up there with Delmore Heppel. He sent you pictures of the damage. He sent Lowe's pictures of the damage. He sent Joe Delfonso Jr. pictures of the damage. How did you not know about it?
The roof, we did.
And why didn't you fix it?
We did not know that other stuff was damaged.
No, but you said you didn't know about the roof. That's what you said.
In the back room where that was damaged.
But it was sent to you.
That's a separate thing of what you're
No,
doing
it's
now.
not. Yeah, it's the same thing.
The
You don't like the
damage,
library. I'm sorry.
No, I have nothing against that.
No, yes, you
We
do.
not
Yes,
agree.
you do. This is a situation where safety issues are involved, where people can get hurt.
Nickname?
Shame on you. Shame on you. Can't believe it.
This is good one.
you are not presiding the meeting.
I didn't say to do it, I said you should.
Item D, please.
You did see. First, 2020, from 2 to 4 p.m. due to the COVID-19 pandemic and resulting guidelines that have been put in place by the Department of Health to feel that this is the best way to hold this event so as not to disappoint our trick-or-treaters.
So, we talked about this last week, but basically, the upper drive below the ball field, people will set up with candy, with their trunks, and the participants will drive through. So, we feel like that's the easiest way to do it, given the circumstances. And the waiver that we discussed for the boxing event at Ninth Street Park would apply to this as well. Any of those requirements.
Monessen roster of the Rotary Organization.
Do we
voting on that?
Do we need a motion for that? I would think. Yeah, I would.
Yeah, if you're approving specific events, you want to make sure that, especially right now, I mean, I understand a lot of municipalities have kind of a routine, just an administrative process for approval, but, you know, with COVID-19 kind of creating a special circumstance for municipalities, I would think you would want to approve every event just to make sure that council has the ability to ask questions and make sure they're satisfied with the process.
Do you want to turn that into a motion?
Sure, then I make a motion to approve for the Monessen Community Development Corporation request to use the Monessen City Park for the drive, trunk, and treat on Saturday, October 31st, 2020, from 2 o'clock to 4 p.m.
And with the necessary waivers.
with necessary waivers required by the PA Department of Health.
And I will second that. Are there any questions? Call the roll.
Councilman Combs?
Yes.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Yes.
Councilman Gregor?
Aye.
Councilor Chakowski?
Yes.
Mayor Sherrill?
Yes. And I would say the same thing to approve.
Okay, Monessen Ross Street Rotary Organization is requesting permission to use the Herman Mahalik River Launch for the Food Truck Festival. The date would be on Sunday in mid-October. A firm date would be forthcoming based upon the council's approval. The organization will control the entrance and exit locations. Signs will be visible for people to wear their masks and abide to social distancing. All food is made to go. So I'd like to make a motion allowing Monessen Rotary, Rostree Rotary, permission to use the boat launch for the Herman Melick River launch for a food truck festival pending. We don't have a date, do we?
No.
Yeah, they.
They have to get coordinate with the food trucks, that's why they didn't give us all the
We're
dates.
saying it's Sunday, mid-October.
Yeah. And also with.
By all requirements for people wearing masks and abiding to social distancing.
And I'll second that. There's a question on that. Follow up.
Councilwoman Thomas,
Yes.
Councilor Gregor,
Aye.
Councilor Norchkowski,
Yes.
Councilman Coles,
Yes.
Mayor Sherrod.
Yes.
Motion to approve the placement of two orders, PO 584 and 589. Gangway new replacement is $6,499 plus hardware, total of $8,445. The fishing docks new replacement will be for $8,884.95. The repair quote for the existing gangway was $6,500 from Rick's Custom.
Just polishing,
Polishing.
custom polishing.
The finishing dock drifted down the river a few years ago.
I will second that question. Follow up.
Councilor Gregor,
Aye.
Councilor Norchkowski,
Yes.
Councilman Coles,
Yes.
Councilwoman Thomas,
Yes.
Mayor Sherrod.
Yes. Councilman Gregor?
Code Enforcement Office Financial Report. Plumbing licenses year-to-date was $1,250. Building permits for August, $1,260. Year-to-date, $3,923. Demolition permits, $100. Year-to-date, $175. Mercantile machines, August, $3,000. Year-to-date, $3,600. Chicken permits, August, 0. Year-to-date, $75. Street opening permits, August, $800. Year-to-date, $31,564.33. Magistrate code enforcement, August, $108.31. Year-to-date, $592.57. Zoning fees, August, $18,591.21. Year-to-date, the same. Sign permits, $275, August. Year-to-date, I'm sorry, yes, I read that correctly, actually. Getting old, guys. Year-to-date, $1,025. Eat and drink license for August, $75. Year-to-date, $375. Health inspection, August, $450. Year-to-date, $1,175. Habitation permits, $1,755. Year-to-date, $7,550. Landlord fees, August, $5,825. Year-to-date, $5,825. Yard waste pickup, $225. Year-to-date, is that $670? Unsewered line usage, year-to-date, $6,480. August, $32,464.52 was the total. The total year-to-date is $82,871.11. Code activity report. This habitation permits, are we changing that back to occupancy permits?
It's,
Because we actually have a code enforcement officer
Yeah.
to issue an occupancy.
we'll get that, I'll figure out what we want to do.
All right, habitation permits, 13, correction letters, 100. We got animal complaints of 1, miscellaneous complaints of 100. Citations, 8, inspections, 16. Building permits, 5. Office meetings with residents, 18. Zoning permits, 5. Chief's report, fire department report for August 2020. Automatic alarm 6, assist police 2, CO 1. Wires down 5, tree down 1. Electrical fire 1. Motor vehicle accident 6, EMS assist 4, vehicle fire 1, 3 landing zones, 1 natural gas call, 1 structure fire in Carroll Township, automatic fire alarm Webster 2, natural gas leak Webster 1, 2 false alarms, 1 stove fire. Total calls 38. Total responding 547. Average responding per call 13.48. Total man hours 400.5 hours.
Can I ask you a question? It's
Sure.
like, West Penn came and got that wire out on the keyway. Now,
Oh, yeah.
who's responsible for the other wires? My sister's saying maybe it might be, is it cable wire or
They
something?
were all the- they
Because
were
that's
all
still
notified.
down, so do we need to contact somebody, because there's still
We
wires?
notified, well, actually,
You
the fire
already- I was
department.
just wondering, they just want to know
No.
who,
I think the problem is, Lois, that they both go to abandoned houses, so it's
Okay.
not an urgency.
okay, they were
both
just wondering.
notified Actually twice. We
Okay.
notified Comcast and
Yeah.
Verizon both.
Okay, so she was wondering, she said, they knew West Penn did theirs, they were wondering who gets those cable wires
It
there.
wouldn't hurt to call them again, maybe have Dawn
Yeah,
call
because
them.
Yeah.
it's down low,
One-
it's always an
yeah, oh, yeah.
issue when you got a wire hanging.
One thing I
Yeah.
wanted to say is that Delmore asked me to get, if we possible, from West Penn, the white tape that says wire electrical,
Electrical hazard.
and they will not give it to us. It's just something for their company to use. But I don't know if it's the book
Yeah, I mean,
entry.
the problem is, John, in what West Penn Power, when I talk to my phone, what they have to realize is, these guys are all volunteers. We're out here, we're not gonna turn down any emergency. We're gonna be out there doing what's best to protect the city and its residents. But, I mean, these things are going on now. They want you to sit and watch a wire for days on end. And if you have a live wire, you're gonna watch it for days on end. We had the streetlights out because they ripped the utility pole down by George. The firemen were out there for 3 to 5 hours in 90, 95-degree heat. They had 12 flaggers down there, sitting on a truck telling jokes. So I went down and told them, you're paying these people to direct traffic for your incident, and my guys have been out here for 3 hours. I mean, I don't know if there's a representative from West Penn that you can meet with to
Dave,
talk about the urgencies of these
Dave,
problems.
Dave O'Matic.
You know,
And
So,
if you want to set a meeting up, we'll set a
we
meeting up
should
with
set a meeting up with
Absolutely.
them because
Yeah.
the wires on McKee Way, 3 days.
Yeah,
The wires on Skirky, Thompson, Pollard, Vinewood, 4-way intersection shut down for 3.5 days. Those people couldn't move. up
These
there.
were hot
We had
wires,
live wires in both incidents.
and it took them
I
that long.
understand they were under a storm mode, but I don't think
Okay.
that's the worst storm that ever come through here, But I called them multiple times, I talked to them directly, 911 called them 3 times. I think they need to have a little more urgency. This is their problem, it's their electric. They think they take for granted the fire departments and the people that are coming out to babysit their problem. Just my opinion, I'm not speaking for everyone, but I've seen guys stand out there in the 95-degree heat for 3 to 5 hours
What's the purpose?
because there was no streetlights.
I mean, they're directing.
Yeah, my guys were directing traffic while their guys, they had a paid flagging crew. And who in the world's going to the bug launch if you can't get across it? What are you flagging for? The real issue was on 906. It should be their problem, or their responsibility somehow. That's all. But anyway, the tape would be good. The tape says that it's a direct electrical hazard if you go past this. So I figured, well, if you're not gonna send me personnel to come out and watch it, at least give me the opportunity to take it off with your caution tape that says that this is an electrical hazard, stay away.
so people.
Because most of the time, people see our yellow caution tape and they just.
Yeah, that's right.
They refused to give you tape?
I had John contact them, they refused to give me the rolls of tape.
Why?
It's just something they use.
It's a specified West Penn
It's a proprietary
product
product.
that they have.
Can we locate some somewhere so we can purchase
I
it?
don't know, I imagine if we Google it, we'll come up with something.
We need to look
It
into
should be
getting
bought,
that, John.
to let people know, to let the public know. And then again, you know, you're dealing with darkness, okay? So it's storming, it's dark, you have no lights now, so you're walking up on an electrical line, you know, so what's to tell you to stay away from it? You know, we put cones on the street, but like Lois said, these lines that she's speaking of are on the sidewalk.
Yes.
So if you're walking in the darkness, you're not gonna see those lines, you know?
Not until it sparks and it's too late.
Right.
The motion to approve the replacement of damaged equipment sustained because of the Hilltop Station 81-2 roof was neglected in the past 5 to 6 years. Total charges not to exceed $18,500. Insurance company refused to claim.
Second. Questions? Call the roll.
Councilman Orchakowski?
Yes.
Councilman Coles?
Yes.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Yes.
Councilman Gregor?
Aye.
Mayor Sherrall.
Yes.
Hey, Matt, real quick before I forget what I will. Back to Tim, is Tim still on the line?
Yeah.
See if there's anything we could do as a fire service, if we do get tied up for hours on end, is there a way to bill West Penn Power for our service?
Tim, did you hear any of that?
Yeah, I did, yeah.
I would like to
There
have
is
something
a-
in
there
writing
is a
that says
way
that I can
for
send
the
this
city
bill.
to pass an ordinance that in instances, not just for, you know, just random traffic accident calls or things like that, because you can't assess them for things like that, but if it's a, you know, emergency call out for some sort of a more substantial accident, not accident, but event, you know, there are ways of recouping some of those costs. So that's something that we may want to take a look at. One, if we already have an ordinance in place that does that, and two, if not, either amending our current ordinance to add that, or having another ordinance in place to do that.
I will, excuse me, I will look and see if we have any
It
ordinances.
should fall
on
under
the-
the same ordinance from, I believe, 2000, was it 15? Well, it might have been 2008 or 9. I have a copy of it at home.
Okay, if you could get me that, if we have anything on the books, or if we
The
need
thing
to
is,
amend it.
you know, and
we'll
not
do
to
it.
be mean about this, but I mean, we're already two strapped fire departments with no cash now because we have no fundraisers. We're running our equipment out for hours on end, babysitting their issues, and we're not being compensated in any way.
Yeah, we should definitely address
Being
that.
in the world as it is today, I think we need to have some sort of compensation.
Solicitor, if-
Now, keep
You're
in
talking
mind
about
that
city fuel,
there's
city
ordinances
insurance.
that do enable costs to be assessed.
E, motion to approve the elevation of Todd Carter to full-time code enforcement officer. The salary range is $40,000 to $45,000 in benefits. He has 22 years of code experience and a certification to warrant his position and salary. He definitely needs to be more proactive and aggressive in the code enforcement. Also, this is directly in line with the Monessen comprehensive plan that we're getting from Mackin. That is one of their recommendations.
second question. Call the roll.
Excuse me,
Yep.
I think we need to set the salary.
Oh, yeah, that was something. Do you have,
My recommendation is 40,000.
anyone else?
If you did the math on his, what we were paying him right now, it comes out to like $41,060. Am I correct, Mr. Hardock? We can offer him that, or we can just offer him the straight 40, because he is getting benefits too. So 40,000 plus benefits, I think, is more than.
And he has been down here basically working full-time, essentially, has he not? He's been down here pretty often. Like, more than.
He's only getting paid part-time.
Right, yeah, but I mean, he's down here more.
He does, he takes a lot of work on with it. The man is outstanding. And then we've needed this, the last full-time code enforcement officer we had was Lizzie Byron, and that didn't work out so well. And he couldn't get the necessary certifications. I don't know what the issue was, and not my place to say. But
And
that-
in a good scenario, and I trust Todd would be able to do this, the position should pay for itself with all of the.
It will definitely pay for itself, especially when he goes after the scofflaws and the people that have not been taking care of their properties and such. But you need someone who has the ability to go to court and present the case. and he's quite capable of that. Mr. Heffley, you have a
Side
comment?
note, he's the first time that I can remember ever that we have somebody qualified as a fire inspector also in the city of
Oh,
Monessen.
I'd forgotten that, thank you very
And so that
much.
also is gonna help us as we just turned in on our ISO rating for the city's fire insurance. He's going to help us because there's extra points you can score by having a fire inspector. I think this will be the first time that our ISO might come up a little bit.
I'm glad you brought that up because a lot of citizens don't realize what the ISO rating is. It's, when they come in, they take a look at the community. That's why it's so important that we have 2 different fire departments and 2 different stations. The city is actually, under the ISO standards, is required to have 3 stations. Years ago, they wanted us to put a station up in the Hill District, but neither one of the companies at the time had the finances to do that. We're actually, is that your phone buzzing? Could you silence that? It's buzzing, I can hear it, I can feel it, it's irritating. That's rude, you're rude.
I'm sorry.
Oh, you're rude.
They did actually want a substation in the 3rd ward.
Yeah, they want a substation up there.
I didn't know that.
And that's one of the reasons our citizens pay more insurance, fire insurance, than they really need to. It's not that we're not good fire departments, because we are. It's just that we don't have that extra station. And one of these years, I think the way both companies are getting along right now, the working relations has never been better. I can see us getting together and putting a substation up there, getting a garage and putting a station in there.
That would be fantastic.
Well, it would provide immediate protection. It's your response times that are crucial. A lot of people don't understand that. It's like a lot of people don't understand when you have a fire truck. One fire truck, if the city had to pay for one engine company, that's just a pumper with a crew of 3 guys on it. If the city had to provide that service for a year, it's $1.2 million. An aerial unit, like the telesport that we have, it's $1.3 million. And the coverage that we provide to the city of Monessen through both of our departments, you're looking collectively, we're providing a service that's valued, if we were in Philadelphia or Pittsburgh, would be costing the city over $10 million. And
Which is
what
2.5 years.
does it cost the city approximately right now? $80,000 a year. That's with liability, insurances, and everything else.
I'm sure that no one takes it for granted, but if you look at the numbers that Donnie read earlier, we had 38 calls this month, 400.5 man-hours. You know what that takes to get the guys out for 400.5?
A lot of dedication.
That's a lot of dedication, that's a lot of heart, to provide the service for basically for free.
It costs the taxpayers, actually costs the citizens, approximately $11 per person for the fire coverage that we provide. All right, I'll get off now.
So, the motion should be for 40,000.
And benefits.
So do you want to, should we
Motion
confirm that
for,
motion?
to approve the elevation of Todd Carter to full-time code enforcement officer. The salary will be $40,000 and benefits.
Second. Any other questions? Call the roll.
Councilman Chakowski?
Yes.
Councilman Coles?
Yes.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Yes.
Councilman Grigor?
All right.
And Mayor Sherrod?
Yes. Councilman Coles?
Thank you, Mayor. The following is my report. I make a motion to approve adding municipalities to our current vendor, MuniLink. This addition will eliminate all credit card fees the city has been absorbing. The year-to-date fees absorbed by the city is $19,862.69. The city will pay a one-time charge of $185 for a card reader. All other credit card fees as listed are the responsibilities of the credit card holder, 2.5% or $1.50 minimum for credit cards, $1.50 flat
for e-checks. Municipal pay will supply the city with a daily report by customers of all activities in the city's account. These changes will save the city costs as well as man-hours on the phone, which relates to savings for the city.
I will second that. Are there any questions? Call the roll.
Councilman Coles?
Aye.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Yes.
Councilman Gregor?
Aye.
Councilor Chakowski?
Yes.
Mayor Sherrod?
Yes.
Item B, I make a motion to approve the replacement of the old Xerox model with a new updated Xerox model. Xerox canceled the existing lease with 17 months remaining. The charge over the new lease agreement is $17,172.60. Xerox COVID-19 relief plan, 63-month lease, first 3 months no charge, second 3 months half monthly charge, total savings $2,014.50 in addition to a new Xerox printer.
Second. Question.
Does that include supplies?
John, does that
The supplies are separate. It's just a Xerox machine. Nothing's tied to supplies.
And there was no penalty for to get out of the other contract?
No, they were the ones that offered to cancel it.
Call the roll.
Did we,
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, did we look in cost of purchasing a new printer?
No, it wasn't cost effective.
Did anybody look into purchasing, pricing one for purchasing?
No.
Because you can get one for around that price. to own it.
No, I don't want to own it. I would rather lease it. You don't want to own a machine like that.
Especially when it's
Too
right
costly.
now.
Too costly.
Just asking.
Call the roll.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Yes.
Councilman Gregor?
Aye.
Councilor Chakowski?
Yes.
Councilman Coles?
Yes.
Mayor Sherrod?
Yes.
Make a motion to approve payment of invoices from general fund in the amount of $224,411.76.
Second. Question. Call the roll.
Councilor Chakowski?
Yes.
Councilor Gregor?
Aye.
Councilman Coles?
Yes.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Yes.
And Mayor Sherrod?
Yes.
I make a motion to approve payment of invoices from line usage in the amount of $26,917.30.
Second. Question. Call the roll.
Councilor Gregor?
Aye.
Councilor Chakowski? Councilman Coles?
Aye.
I'm sorry, do we have a listing for that? And I'm sorry, I didn't catch it, say it fast enough before you went into that.
No, I don't have one. I didn't have
So
one.
how are we approving something on bills? We don't know what they are.
Do you know what the line usage was?
Well, I mean, it says 26,917.30, but
Yeah.
there's no listing of what the bills are.
Yeah, I did.
Or is it, it's not, no, it's not showing.
No.
Could you get it for us?
Sure.
Why don't you go get it for us?
Well, I don't have one for that. Right now, she did print that one out. I don't know
What
why.
what is it for?
Line usage,
Might be like sewers.
I'm
Yeah,
not
sure.
aware, I'm just asking him.
yeah, sewers. We also paid the end of the 4th Street wall. And just trying to think what else we had here.
Do we have any inlet repairs?
Yeah, there were some inlets. There was something
Is
else.
it anything at Grand Boulevard? Any of that?
We're gonna have a special meeting for that other stuff. Can you
Yeah.
have that available for us?
I could get that, sure.
And we could go to
Yeah.
those 3 items.
Right. Okay.
We can table that to the special meeting.
After all that.
I'll take back my second.
Now I'll rescind my vote.
Item E, we'll go on that.
Yep.
Okay, item E, I'd like a motion to approve payment of invoices from Park Fund in the amount of $14,067.
Second. Questions? Call the roll.
Councilman Chakowski?
Yes.
Councilman Combs?
Yes.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Yes.
Councilman Grigor?
Aye.
Mayor Sherrill?
Yes.
Item F, I'd like a motion to approve a payment of invoices from Recreation Fund in an amount of $520.93.
Second. Question? Call the roll.
Councilman Combs?
Yes.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Yes.
Councilman Grigor?
Aye.
Councilman Chakowski?
Yes.
Mayor Sherrill?
Yes.
Item G, all 2020 invoices due for payment are current. Item H, large dollar account balances at the end of August. General fund, $737,429.27. Debt service, $409,362.55. Parks and Recreation, $153,504.92. Liquid fuels, $101,524.49. That concludes my report.
Thank you. I just want to...
Question, Mr. Harhide, the debt service, that's fully funded now?
Yes. Yeah, our debt service will be $384,000. We have $25,000 extra in that account.
Thank you.
And,
That's due for payment on December 31st.
and any progress on our past due MMO insurance?
Yeah, we paid $80,000 towards the MMO, and probably by next month or the month after, we will finish last year's MMO. We're working on the others every month, so we'll have half of it down by the end of this year, and the other half down by the end of next year.
Two insurance.
Insurance and waste refuge authority, waste management, and the health insurance.
And the
Yeah. So that's the plan. We're splitting it. We don't want to get ourselves in tight money. So we're good.
That's one hell of an achievement. That is just awesome.
Yeah, the fund balances are, yeah, I mean, it's September and there's still...
And you know, we've done this without a tandem.
Yes.
That is the most awesome. I just, from $630,000 unpaid bills from last year to getting where we're at, it's
And
outstanding.
I commend
Outstanding.
Bill and John and Jerry too for that work. I'd like to open the floor for public comment on any items.
Okay, this is for
Hey,
Tim.
Tony,
Well, Tim's over there.
Tim, let me know if you can hear.
Tim, could you hear me, Tim?
Yeah, I can hear, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. I brought this up 2 months ago, and I'd like you to step up and do this. Can you put together some sort of an agreement form for every council member to sign that whenever they're gonna go into venturing, into purchasing, or getting repairs done or something, that there has to be at least a minimum of 3 invoices, and if they don't have it within, 2 weeks or 3 weeks, they have to do it again, because this is everybody's money, I guess. So because of it, everybody that I know that's a homeowner or a car owner, they go to 3, 4, 5 different garages or contractors to get the best price, okay? And it seems like the council members are not doing it in the sense that everyone's relying on, I guess, past, relationships. And there should be some sort of an agreement that everybody will be required to get 3 bids. And then also, Tim, if they're gonna spend something, you could give them some leeway, like each department can have maybe up to $1,000 if they have to spend in order to correct something that needed immediate attention. But there has to be some sort of a playing field for everybody to agree, so then we don't end up arguing here. You overspent, because look what happened with Matt Sherrod. He spent over $6,000, and it's been 9 going on 10 months, and we still don't have what he purchased. We still don't have that up and running. Okay? All I know is if I'm going to spend $6,000, it'll be up and running within 30 days. That's all I know. So I don't know what the problem is. And then we don't even know who's going to handle the inputting. Okay, this hasn't been discussed by the council. Because this endeavor that the mayor got into, it leaves the burden of operating the website on whom?
Well, it would be our responsibility, otherwise we'd have
Who's
to
our
pay
responsibility? Everybody's got
whoever is
computer
in
savvy.
place, because otherwise we'd have to pay someone to also update.
Well, if you got the right situation, that $6,000, I would have got somebody for 5 years to do it for you. You say no, but I know 2 sources because I'm looking into it for my newspaper.
Actually, to answer the question about the 3 bids for everything, we did that last year.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that because I can't find ordinances or resolutions from 2019, 18, or 17, so I would not know what's on file.
Actually, it was an ordinance, we did it as a memo.
Well, I also would not know where that is.
Yeah, well, memos
I didn't stutter, I said memo. We sent it out.
You sent out a memo, you made no resolution or ordinance, you just
We
sent a
told
memo.
everybody we wanted to have 3 bids for everything.
That's binding.
Under $18,000, that's time to get quotes.
But Tim,
Tim, do you have anything to?
So Tim, could you write up some sort of an agreement where everybody could agree on, like they have a discretion on their own, up to so much money, and if it's more than 1,000 or 2,000, then everybody has to agree on it.
$18,000.
What's it?
You don't have to get quotes up to $18,000.
Well, that's a little bit
I mean, that's
too much.
That's not
For a
really
small
money.
town.
just to interject, so the state already comes in, and they have mandatory rules with respect to at what levels you need to have quotes, or publicly bidded and whatnot. So
Okay, the state does not come into the website. The website, $6,000, it does not apply to what you're saying. Okay, so the state, show me the state ordinance that he has the discretion to spend $6,000 on something that hasn't been up yet for 10 months.
So there's 2 different issues, it sounds like that's being discussed. One is how many quotes does the city actually get in order to ensure that they're getting good pricing. That's one issue. The second issue is the process for actually getting expenditures approved and new contracts approved for, the city. For the city through individual city council members or for council as a whole. So with respect to that first issue, how do we make sure that we're getting the right, funds or the right pricing? The state comes in and they have certain minimum requirements that, if it's over 21,000, you have to publicly bid it. If it's between about 11,000 and 21,000, you have to get 3 quotes. If it's anything under that, there's no requirement. You can get 1 quote and that's fine. Now, the city council can deviate from that if they wanted to do that, and they could implement a procedure where for everything they require 3 quotes. And that's legal. You can do that. That would have to be voted on, and it would need to be done by resolution, but that could be done. And then it becomes binding, although subsequent councils can always change that, modify that, and tweak that. So, there's options there with respect to how council wants to do that. That would be even more than what just the minimum requirements are under Pennsylvania law.
Well,
Now, with respect to the other item, keep in mind, so council primarily has the authority with respect to expenditures whenever it's approving the budget, because the budget should provide line items for every department and every general expense that someone might run into in their department. So if council's already approved an expense through somebody's budget, generally that's authorization for them to use funds from their budget for specific items. Now, if it's a big item that's either not included in a budget or something that would constitute a wholly new, agreement. It's not just standard terms. It's not just going to the, down the street to the store and buying something, something tantamount to that sort of a transaction. Then that would need to come before council for approval. But council, once again, in a resolution, could provide authorization, just like you said, Ernie, for expenses up to a certain dollar value would not require council approval for something like that.
Yeah, so could you make it
But
specific?
the council's got to give me direction on whether they want to do something like that.
Yeah, but there should be like a specific amount, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, that they have at their discretion, because they're adults and they're supposed to do the best they can. But over that, they have to get 3 bids, and they have to get the approval of the whole council.
So I'm trying to go by what you said. Did you say something between 11 and what was the 11,000 that should have had? Should have had
Yeah.
3 bids?
Yeah,
So is that
between-
speaking towards the Xerox printer thing? That was 18,000 something.
If it's something where, well, I'm sorry, and it's that number dollar value, if it has that expenditure in one given year, that's typically the trigger point. If it's multiple pieces of equipment, there's a price associated with each piece of equipment, that's a little bit different. And so general equipment purchases for particular models too, there's exceptions for that, because sometimes you can only get, if you're looking for a specific model, you don't have to get multiple quotes, because you can't get multiple quotes if there's only one dealer that offers that specific model. So that's kind of one of the caveats, so to speak, to that rule. But generally, once again, the rules are if it's between, if it's an estimated expense between, and I forget what the exact figures are, but it's about $11,000 to $21,000, then there should be 3 written or telephonic quotes that were received.
Yeah, but could you add, like, for each councilman, they can have a certain description of up to what, 1,000, 2,000, 4,000? So then,
Yeah. I mean, you can do that, and there's some municipalities that do that. Just to enable things to flow, and so everything doesn't have to come before council. Now, of course, there's potentially drawbacks to that too. I mean, that's something the council needs to think about before they make any of those decisions. But yeah, that is possible.
well, can you help them out, like start some sort of an agreement so everybody can be
He
on the
said it
same
would be a
page?
resolution.
Yeah, it would have to be voted on by resolution, and I mean, frankly, I've seen all different types of municipalities do it different ways. I mean, some like it where everything comes before council. Others like to have the flexibility where council members can spend up to a certain amount. Some like where they get 3 quotes on everything, and then other ones, think that that's too cumbersome. I mean, I've truly seen it done any number of ways, and it's all what the folks think is most efficient and most effective at any given point in time.
Yeah, and then we have to include one special provision that like this website wasn't on the budget. So if it ain't on,
Telecommunications.
huh?
Telecommunications.
Well, that's pretty broad.
I didn't write the budget.
But all I know is that they have to be a little bit more savvy as far as cost.
I think we're doing well, Ernie. Did you
Well-
see what our accounts look like now compared to last year?
Yeah, I'm not saying. And,
I think we're doing well.
well, there's still more.
Can I
There's
interrupt
always
him,
more
or
you
is
can
that
do.
illegal?
You're
Yeah,
actually
I
at the
think
podium, Nancy.
Well,
But he
she's in
won't
a hurry.
stop.
Thank you, Ernie.
I'm gonna never follow you. I'm gonna go first, because I have a 30-second question, that's all. First,
30 seconds?
I want to apologize for the outburst, but the horse was already dead and I was getting frustrated.
Thank you.
Anyway, all I wanted to know is, do we pay Waste Management, or who do we pay for the recycling materials that they pick up twice a month?
That's part of the waste management contract.
Have you any clue, any idea how few people recycle in this town?
1% of the city.
You do know that?
Yes, I was advised of that last week.
That's such a waste, isn't it?
We need to get the numbers up because In 2015, it was 18%. This past year, it was 1%, and that's tied to the amount of grant funding we can get from the DEP. And also, Ordinance 9 of 1991 mandates us for recycling. So we are required to recycle, and we are also, the city is required to do leaf waste pickup by DEP, and we have not been doing that, and our recycling numbers are also down. So we need to work with Refuse Authority to get those numbers up.
There's one, I'm the only person in my entire block that has cans and bottles out. Nobody recycles.
Yeah, that's been a communications issue for the last 6 years. It's not been pushed. I can't remember when they took the dumpsters out from down below for the cardboard.
It's been about that long.
Yeah.
Okay, when they took that out, our percentages just dropped.
I used to take stuff down there
Exactly.
too,
A
but
lot of
can't do
people
it
do,
anymore.
but a lot of people, especially older people, they have trouble with doing that physically.
Yeah.
We've lost, we should have been making like $11,000 a year or more.
But the cans and bottles, they don't have to leave their house for that.
Again,
It's ridiculous.
it is, but when you have, I know a little old lady.
Well, I'm a little old lady and I put mine out.
You're not little, you're not that old. I know a little old lady that she drags one garbage bag down to the curb, and she's not able to do anything else. But the problem is, we need to start getting out, educating our residents again. We need to show them, I mean, from what we've dropped, if you looked at some of these figures here, it's ridiculous, the recyclables, the way they're
And
dropped.
also, I think we need to, maybe some people don't have recycling bins, not that that's an excuse, but maybe they don't know.
I have 3.
Maybe they don't know that they could come down here and get one.
Maybe.
So I think we really do need to let people know.
Let me just give you some figures. In 2015, we had 634 tons. 2019, 61 tons.
Yeah.
That's how bad we've dropped.
What, I don't get it.
Again, they
Wait,
pull out those dumpsters.
Let me tell you what we're gonna do right now. And I'm gonna take Pacific Boulevard, because it sets aside from everywhere. We're gonna take blue the containers, and I'm gonna make sure everybody has one. And then we're gonna ask them to recycle. And then I'm going to Refuse Authority and ask them to take and let us know the percentage of those people who don't or do recycle. Because that's how we're going to start.
After they have their can.
Right.
Then at least
The next street, and we'll start to go.
That's a good thought.
We did this in 2011, and we were over 700,000 tons. Because I remember I had to put the report in. And this is a direct relationship to DEP with clean waste and us not getting $11,000 a year.
And also, as
That's
far
like
as,
$66,000
That's
they've lost.
ridiculous.
And
Well, I've talked to a lot of people and they can't, hell no, I'm not gonna be bothered.
Here's the thing, and I told them at the Refuse Authority meeting we had, I said, I'm gonna try this, and they said, well, somebody said, look at the 1 and 2, I throw plastic in, let them decide what they don't want, and if it comes down a conveyor belt, they push it off, we get credit. Cardboard.
yeah, and that's the heavy.
And this is what we get $5 a ton. That's what we need as a city.
But they're not taking it.
Right.
You
They're
have
not
to.
collecting it.
They're not collecting
I mean,
it.
yeah,
So what
that's what I
happens
mean.
is, when we lose that $5 a ton, on 634 tons, we had a few $1,000s. Now we have leaf collection, and we get credited for that. So one time, they bought an actual leaf truck.
I remember.
And we had. That was because we were doing leaf pickup twice a week, and we were doing all this. There's a 902 grant that we're going to file for a chipper.
But we have to get these numbers up.
Yes, we have to get the numbers up, but we could file the grant to get a chipper to show how we're taking the trees.
There's a hopper down the end of town, but they take only newspapers. They won't, I had all this cardboard, and I see the sign, they don't take any cardboard. What's the point of having newspapers and no cardboard?
Well, what happened with cardboard, I don't understand CDC, and they said that the cardboard carried the virus longer than the other papers. Okay? So since that, it's been changed, okay? Cardboard is the highest pay rate that there is, that they make money on, and they put back to the repository. Cardboard is number one. So throw all in glass, your containers, everything in there, let them take it, they weigh it, and we get paid. So we're gonna do that, and that's gonna help us to keep our numbers where they are. We've been at 155,000 now for 5, 6, 7 years.
Well, the cardboard still won't be included.
Well, I'll tell you what, I put mine around the top, because I have overflow,
Yeah,
and I keep putting it in, and it's higher, and they take it.
I was told that if you have your recycling bin, you can either like bundle the cardboard and stick it in the bin, like, you know, on top.
I remember some time ago, they said that you set it out in paper.
Yep. Or you can put it like, I've
But then
also,
if it's raining, you can't put it out.
I've also put it in a garbage bag, but left it slightly open so they could see that it's cardboard.
Well, if you're not careful, they'll mix them together,
yeah, for
because
sure.
I've experienced that too,
Yeah.
but I watch them now.
So what we got, we're gonna put recycle bins out. We have a potential, a 902 grant to get a chipper. This chipper can take up to 5-inch sized branches. And Brad Cunningham now is a DEP, so I'm in contact with him.
Can
And
we-
they know what we're
Well,
gonna
I'm
do.
glad something will be
Can
done,
we
that's all I
bring
wanted to know, Ernie. See, I put that all done.
Can we
Took
bring
5
back the,
minutes.
can we bring back the newspaper?
Yeah, but I didn't come back and
We'd have to
say
talk to
30
waste
seconds.
management.
Yeah.
She did.
I mean, I don't know why it was taken away, but I mean, if it's something that people will use, Tim, sorry.
Here's so one of the things that you guys are experiencing just generally is the market for recycling has changed dramatically, so the economics have changed. So 4 years ago, waste collection companies collected recyclables and actually sold them to larger facilities and then ultimately sold them to China, and a lot of that was shipped to China because they would buy it. Now China's not buying any of that, any recyclables, so waste collection companies no longer have that as a profit source, so they don't want to collect recyclables or sort them because it's actually an expense for them. So, and I'm not saying this is a specific experience with waste management or anything like that in the city, so they have a disincentive to actually collecting and processing the recyclables as recyclables and reporting them as such, because then they actually have to, spend additional resources sorting them and taking care of them and finding something to do with them, where it's much easier just to put them in a landfill. So
Tim, on the other side,
some of these things, you're going to want to make sure that you monitor that to make on the flip side, make sure your numbers are higher to accurately reflect the efforts that you guys are making.
right. The other side is if we put all this in this garbage, their tonnage that they have to pay at the landfill goes up. So, so what we're gonna do is, we're gonna get the recyclable out of the city, let them figure out what they wanna do with it, and then when it comes to bid time, we'll see what happens.
I have 2 granddaughters who are into environmental engineering, and they have a hissy fit every time they come here and they see nobody recycling. They
Carla got
drive
me
them
to
crazy.
recycle too, so.
Yeah.
I mean, they recycle straws. Well, no, they don't use straws. They have permanent ones now they use, so.
Thank you for
Okay,
that.
good. I'm glad something will be done.
Thanks. Anything else?
Yeah, I got one last thing, and I'm just gonna mention this because I was asked to do it, but I'm gonna do it a little bit differently. All of you got a letter, I think an email from Mr. Lee,
I didn't get anything recently.
last week.
I don't remember doing anything. I'm not sure.
He sent it to council, I mean, did we all not get it?
I don't think I got anything.
Yeah, because he asked me to actually read it, but I was going to forego that if everybody had it,
I don't remember seeing it.
because he would like to have an answer.
The last email I have from him is August 24th.
This would have been September 8th, something?
Yeah, I don't have anything.
Well, I'll be happy to make you can make a copy of this for everybody if you don't have it.
Yeah.
but because of time and it's late, and I should have come a half hour ago, I'm going to request that Jonathan please make a copy for everybody, and he specifically is asking for an answer.
Looks for an answer?
He's looking for an answer about his, I want to make sure I say the right thing. Apparently when his background check was done.
There was no background check done.
Yeah.
I'm only bringing this to you because he's a citizen and he asked me to do it.
Oh, okay,
So,
so,
so I don't know the particulars of it, so I would ask that if you can make a copy for everyone
Yeah,
before
and
they
maybe a
leave.
copy to Tim too. Tim, did you see anything like that?
No, I mean, I didn't get it, I didn't see, I can check real quick to see, but I don't.
He
I don't
has his
recall
data
getting
date, so I'm
email
only
like
guessing
that.
that it is the 8th. I can't tell you that for a fact.
I haven't seen anything, and Tim has responded to every right to know, to Harrisburg and everything.
I don't.
That's all.
This is something that he's asked me to do, so I'll give it to you if you would be kind enough to please make copies for everybody.
Yeah,
thank you.
And, it can be dealt with that way. The other thing, this
It
is.
looks like he mailed this.
No, I printed it, John.
Oh, okay.
That's from the email that he sent. And I thought he copied everybody.
I would have to look because I have 2 emails and sometimes I get some on my other emails. So I know I have several emails from him, but I have to check my other email. It's not on my phone anymore.
And just so everybody knows, and this is maybe where some miscommunication happened, apparently on 8/17 or 8/19 of August, everybody, or the city of Monessen moved to Office 365.
Yes, I believe so.
Well, here's your problem. Lois and I didn't get emails for 3 weeks.
Yeah, I didn't get emails for a week either.
We weren't told until we mentioned it again at the last meeting.
Last week.
So I don't know what happened there, but there was a
Did
huge.
you're getting them now, obviously. Have you gotten any backlog of emails back? Because
Yes.
when I realized, I told John and I was like, hey, I'm not getting emails. And then I got literally like 400 emails in
Yes.
one swoop.
Yes.
I haven't gotten mine.
You mean from Ed or email?
No, I haven't gotten my backlog.
Oh, okay.
No, I have not.
We need to fix that.
I couldn't get mine. Mine was off, I couldn't get it.
I have another question too before we leave, if you're done.
I'm done.
Has the council taken a look at that, what Mr. Wiz sent us? His latest email?
For what?
Oh, I think we need to talk about that somewhere else.
The personnel.
No, it's not personal, it's something else.
My phone's dead.
Yeah. I apologize for my making noise.
Oh, maybe.
I withdraw that.
Oh, maybe. Because we need to get that squared away. Yeah, that sounds right. Did anyone have anything else? Dawn, that was it?
That was it, yeah.
All right, I'm gonna adjourn the meeting at
I'll have a little
9:30.
talk again.